Few people realize that Aleister Crowley is not only the father of modern Satanism, but the father of modern culture as well. Crowley, whose house overlooked Loch Ness and was bought by guitarist Jimmy Page, has for good reason also been called the other Loch Ness Monster. Crowley, who in his book Magic had admitted to sacrificing hundreds of children to Satan, was run out of Italy and called by the press of his day the wickedest man on earth. Crowley claimed that a demonic spirit he later identified as Satan himself dictated a book to him in 1904 called the Book of the Law. Under the heading The Law of Thelema, the Book of the Law declares, "This book lays down a simple code of conduct. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is a law, love under will. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt." Echoing Satan's arrogant boast, "I will exalt my throne above the stars of God," the book centers around the imposition of satanic self-will in defiance of divine will. Aleister Crowley, elaborating on the satanic doctrine of do what thou wilt, declared, quote, "I say today, to hell with Christianity. I will build me a new heaven and a new earth. I want blasphemy, murder, rape, revolution, anything bad, etc." As we shall see, Crowley's do what thou wilt was really do what Satan or Crowley wilt. Crowley taught that one could become a genius in music through practicing his Satanism.
Hey YouTube world, Harvest is plenty. I hope all is well. Thanks for stopping by to check out the video. Today we're going to discuss Jack Parsons. I mentioned in the previous video about Scientology that I would share with you guys some things about Jack Parsons and JPL. Now this guy Jack Parsons was into some very strange and bizarre stuff. Before we jump into it, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So Jack Parsons, what can I say? Besides, this guy did some things that just blow your mind. He was a personal disciple of Aleister Crowley. In the intro, you got a chance to hear a little bit about Mr. Wicked, Mr. 666, and he, like most people that involved in Satanism and occultism and witchcraft, a lot of them actually oppose Christianity. As he said, he wants to destroy it. So it is what it is. But let's focus on Jack Parsons today, and I'll give you a little brief rundown of what this article is about. It says 15 incredibly bizarre facts about rocket scientist Jack Parsons. So let's scroll down and check this out. So first thing, Parsons was mentored by Aleister Crowley. That we know. Here's the thing that's interesting. He ate menstrual cakes with his cult. And it goes on to say that they had something called a Gnostic Mass, which Crowley devised as a perversion of the Catholic Mass. And during the Mass, an altar of candles and hieroglyphic patterns stand together with an upright coffin on a black and white stage awaiting the ceremony's officiants to emerge. In the coffin, the priest awaits the arrival of the priestess, who, once she makes her entrance, leads the ceremony and prayers along with the priest. During the unholy version of the Eucharist, all those present drink wine and eat the cake of light, which is made of menstrual blood, among other things. Yes, an actual cake made with actual real menstrual blood. Can you believe that? They actually ate cakes with menstrual blood. Another thing that Jack Parsons did, he bought a mansion for sex, magic, and all things hedonistic. His marriage to the lady was a foursome. He married this lady, and then he later seduced her 17-year-old sister. And they got another guy from their church, their satanic church, to join in, and they would have foursomes on a regular basis. Eventually, his wife got tired. She left him. And then Jack Parsons moved on with his young sister-in-law as his new girlfriend. And of course, he moved in with, L. Ron Hubbard moved in with him. They started living together, practicing magic. And then L. Ron Hubbard stole his girlfriend, which is his sister-in-law. And that was the cause of the divide or the break between L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons, because L. Ron Hubbard stole his young sister-in-law from him, who was his living girlfriend. Isn't that crazy? But them guys was into a lot of stuff. So Jack Parsons decided to conjure up a new girlfriend. So he started tapping into black magic and working with the spirits to send him a new woman in his life. Another thing, I mentioned Babylon working. That was when Parsons and Hubbard tried to summon a goddess together. They opened up a portal and didn't know how to close it, and that was just crazy in itself. Jack Parsons had affairs with his secretaries, recited pagan poems, and hosted duels at work. Another thing, he was investigated by the FBI, booed out his own business. Now, the FBI did not see him doing black magic and Satanism as a national security threat. They say, oh, he can do that. That's fine. They just looked at some of the other practices that he did. And the reason why they looked the other way, because a lot of people in the military at the top, they practice the same thing. I know that's shocking to hear, but it's the truth. He made his own magic. He said he didn't want to be a disciple of Aleister Crowley anymore. He wanted to make his own magic. So he started conjuring up the demons and doing his own deal. And he says he got so freaky, he creeped out his own cult members. So even people involved in the cult thought this dude was crazy. And they say, man, we got to move on from this guy because this dude just bizarre. So he was into some very strange and crazy stuff. But just wanted to drop some video off to you guys as well so you guys can take a look at that. That's all I have for you today. I'll be back with more content. Until my next video, guys, thank you. Take care, and God bless to you and your family.
There are scientists that have contributed to humanity's body of knowledge that are shunned, whose stories are not completely disclosed to the public, maybe because they are just misunderstood, or maybe because their contributions involved an unorthodox, esoteric aspect that the modern-day powers that be prefer to keep covert and secret. Jack Parsons was a sex magician that participated in what many claim were satanic, drug-fueled orgies, but he was also considered by many as the father of modern rocketry, an engineer and chemist responsible for advancements in both liquid and solid rocket fuel, and one of the principal founders of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, whose scientific contributions to spaceflight were so profound that he even has one of the craters on the moon named after him. Born in 1914 in Los Angeles, Parsons was inspired by science fiction literature and developed an interest in rocketry in his childhood. In 1928, he began amateur rocket experiments, and by 1939, he converted to Thelema, the new religious movement founded by the English occultist Aleister Crowley, and joined the Ordo Templi Orientis, an occult Germanic lodge which taught ancient alchemical secrets, which Parsons incorporated into his work in propulsion, chemistry, and spirituality.
This is Edward Alexander Crowley, also known as Aleister Crowley. He styled himself the wickedest man in the world. He believed himself to be the great beast, and he changed his name to Aleister Crowley so it would add up in both English, Hebrew, and Greek Kabbalah as 666. In 1904, Crowley had a communication with an extraterrestrial being named Iwas. And this being, through his wife, kind of a channeling type operation, brought forth a book that was called the Book of the Law in 1904. And this book declared that the slain and risen God had stepped off the throne and that a new God, the crowned and conquering child, was taking his place. He was a brilliant genius. He could play 8 chess games blindfolded. He was an accomplished poet, mountaineer, painter, writer. He had so many Masonic degrees that you could fill up 5 pages of a book with them. This guy was probably the most highly honored Mason in the world. And he began doing rituals to bring forth this crowned and conquering child. And he began to start what he called the cult of the fascinating child. And in doing this, he uncovered, without knowing it, the royal secret of Masonry. And what happened was, a gentleman came knocking at his door after he published a book. And in this book, it was a book of poetry, and in the book he had made an allusion to something. And this guy, his name was Theodore Royce. He was a German occultist and the head of the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, which stands for the Order of Eastern Templars. There's the Knights Templar again. And this Theodore Royce told Crowley that he had given away the greatest secret in occult history. And Crowley said, "What do you mean? I don't even understand it." So the guy promptly initiated him on the spot to the 9th degree of the OTO and then explained the secret to him. And you're about to learn what this secret is. The secret is that as a Mason, you are promised immortality. Where do they get their promise of immortality? Simply, the secret that Crowley uncovered, probably through demonic intervention, is the secret that this immortality is conveyed through tantric sex magic.
Jack Parsons immersed himself into esoteric rituals and incorporated alchemical aspects of the occult into his propulsion technology. During rocket tests, for example, Parsons often recited Crowley's poem Hymn to Pan as a good luck charm. Parsons and the German aerospace engineer Werner von Braun had hours of telephone conversations about rocketry in their respective countries, as well as their own research. Von Braun was the leading figure in the development of rocket technology in nationalist Germany and a pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States. Without Parsons, Neil Armstrong may have never set foot on the moon. And to those that don't believe America ever made it to the moon in the first place, then surely one can say that without Parsons, American military power might be a fraction of what it is today. His scientific contributions were probably downplayed because he was a leader of a black magic sex cult, of which Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard was once a member, and also Jack Parsons' roommate. Hubbard was a relatively famous science fiction writer at the time, and Parsons was a big fan of the genre and was immediately taken with Hubbard, writing, quote, "He is a gentleman, red hair, green eyes, honest and intelligent, and we have become great friends." They allegedly participated in sex rituals in Parsons' Pasadena home and shared partners, with Hubbard eventually taking off and marrying Parsons' young girlfriend, as Hubbard also allegedly drew esoteric power and knowledge from these ancient alchemical secrets that were associated with Crowley's teachings.